What's up? It's Marco, Sage of Soccer, and today I'm going to run through Premier League Match Week 3. Got 5 games I want to talk about. And then starting out, we got to go through Manchester United versus Liverpool, the the biggest match of this weekend. Manchester United came away with the win, and I'm going to be a bit hesitant because Manchester United, post-Fergie, they've had hope a couple of times. We saw it a little bit under Solskjaer and Mourinho, and they've shown flashes of potential, but it hasn't really stuck. But there's some reasons to be hopeful, cautiously optimistic. Varane and Sancho have really started to look good. And if they can really show the quality that they had at Real Madrid and Borussia Dortmund in the Premier League, then that is two very good players that Manchester United can build around. And if they really start to stand out, that is very good for them. And add Casemiro to the list. Malacia looked pretty good at left back. If he can continue to put in good performances, those are some players that can really perform. Add a Bruno Fernandes in that mix. He can be very good as well. And there's signs that this Manchester United team could improve. I think it's going to be slow. I'm not sure if they end up making the Champions League this year. It's going to be tough, but there definitely are reasons to be optimistic, and I think Ten Hag should probably be given time to really improve the squad. Next for Liverpool, it's kind of tough to talk about them because obviously they've got a huge injury crisis. You can't be too critical of them because what am I going to tear into James Milner and Harvey Elliott for a while? They're supposed to be depth players, but I think it does lampshade an issue. Like James Milner, I love him. He's a Premier League legend. I'm hoping he becomes the all-time appearance leader by the end of his career. But would he start for Leeds United right now? I'm not sure. Maybe would he start for Crystal Palace? Maybe. I don't think he's good enough for this Liverpool side, and I think their depth does really need to get better. And if they want to continue to compete for Premier League titles, they're going to need to get better depth because Man City, they're dealing with a couple of things right now, and they look really good. Arsenal, well, we're gonna have to see how their depth pans out, but they're looking really strong, and yeah, Liverpool definitely need to improve. On to Arsenal, and yeah, I'm calling it. They're legit this year. I think they're title contenders. This game against Bournemouth, that was the type of game that they would lose, like a 50-50 chance a couple years ago. Kiefer Moore would have dominated their center backs. They would have struggled to break down the defensive team. I've seen them lose that type of game time and time again, but they didn't. Their defense was really strong. I hate the Saliba chant, but man, he's been looking really good. Ben White's been a standout. Zinchenko's coming to the team very well. And Martin Odegaard and Gabriel Jesus, they're looking like stars. I've been a fan of Odegaard for a long time. I was always hoping he'd work out, and it's great to see him fulfilling his potential. And Jesus is looking really good outside of Man City, so there's tons of reasons to be optimistic, and I think Arsenal are going to be title contenders. Going to see how things pan out when their depth does really get challenged once the Europa League starts going, because they're going to make a deep run of the Europa League. That's going to happen. So how will their depth look when they're really challenged? That's up in the air, but this team looks good. Bournemouth, I can't really talk about them. They didn't put up much of a fight, which was pretty disappointing. I think they're probably the favorite team to go down at this point in the season, but they can definitely turn around. Transfer window's still not over, and I do like Scott Parker. I think he's pretty good. Next, we got Leeds picking up a big win over Chelsea, and Leeds looked good. I was talking about before, how losing Calvin Phillips and losing Rafinha, that definitely hurt them, but it was probably an opportunity to improve the squad because I think Leeds last year, the year before, they still had a good amount of championship level players that just carried over. And all the new signings they made, Adams, Aronson, Christensen, Sinestro, all of them are just building up, raising the quality of the squad. And now with playing their system that they've been playing with a lot better players, they're looking really strong. And it's going to have to see how things really start to go once they start to get fatigued. But things are looking positive, and Leeds are looking really good right now. Chelsea, they need a top attacker. Tuchel at this point, I don't think he lasts the season, which if you told me that after he'd won the Champions League, he'd be fired in a couple years, it's Chelsea, I'd probably believe you, to be honest. But they just don't have a dangerous attacker. Maybe they should have built around Lukaku. It's tough to say, but strikers like that, they're in such high demand right now. and they don't have one. It's going to be tough to get one, and they just let one go because he didn't really fit the system. And I think you do want to allow your club managers to build a system, play how they want to play, but yeah, I'm not too sure if that was the right idea, and especially because he decided to spend that much money on Lukaku. You'd assume he would have had a plan for him and know that Lukaku's weaknesses. I mean, right now, like, things were looking like teams were going away from like real strikers a while ago, but now like, well, players have caught up. They can play with like the style they want to play. Gabriel Jesus is doing great for Arsenal. Haaland's looking good for Man City. You've got Darwin Núñez, who's coming into Liverpool doing fine. Harry Kane for Tottenham. Like, Chelsea are the squad that doesn't have that top guy up top. Like, they need to find something and figure it out fast. Otherwise, I think Champions League is going to be tough for them to get. You know, they might be able to, because United, Liverpool, they're looking kind of bad right now, but you'd expect Liverpool to surge, and if United can keep this form up, and then they're just, some other team might be able to pop up with the Champions League spot, but yeah, it's a rough position for Chelsea right now. Then we had Man City showing their first signs of weakness. Their attack was still great. I mean, you don't score that many without being a great attack, but their defense has holes. I think this is the worst I might have ever seen Kyle Walker play. St. Maximin had his number. Really expected better of Kyle Walker. Losing Nathan Ake probably hurt. I mean, they're, coming into the game as a center back is very tough to do. But kind of was hoping Ruben Diaz would do a little bit better. Gonna have to see how their defense ends up holding up. I think they should be able to be fine, but it's interesting to see this sign of weakness from them. Still unbeaten. My prediction of them being unbeaten until the World Cup starts. I think that might end up holding, but going to be interesting to see them get tested. Newcastle, they're only going to get better. Rumors of some more signings coming in, but St. Maximin is just an elite player. Like, he's somebody I love watching. Man, a really talented midfield. Bruno Jolton, like, they've been really strong, and defense is holding up pretty well. I mean, tough game against Man City, but you like the guys that they have, and man, Newcastle, they're a sleeping giant at this point. Like, they're going to be, like, it's probably going to be a top 7 sooner rather than later. Last game I want to talk about is my Crystal Palace. Looked very good in a win against Aston Villa. I think they really needed this win because opening games were Arsenal, Liverpool, Aston Villa, and Man City. And to have 4 points from Villa, Arsenal, and Liverpool, I think that's definitely a win. Like, I'd take that at the start of the year. Zaha and Eze look really good. Zaha is a really talented player. I think he's going to be regarded as a Premier League great. Like, I honestly put him up against Matt Letizia at this point in time in terms of, like, top players who really weren't ever, like, in European competition. Like, Zaha, he's looking really good. Eze's breaking out. Expecting Michael Olise to be really good soon. And that defense is looking strong. Like, Crystal Palace looks like a very good team. I'm really excited about Patrick Vieira's project. And lastly, Aston Villa. Man, they looked really weird this week. Like, probably some of the most I've ever seen from a Premier League team. They just did not look like a team. It looked like 11 individuals. Like, they weren't even bad individual performances. Leon Bailey had some nice moments. Watkins put away a goal. Konsa had a couple of really good individual defensive moments, but, like, their defensive line was all over the place. Like, it didn't really feel like I was watching a team. And Aston Villa, they've got some quality players, and at some point, you have to question Steven Gerrard if he's going to be able to keep this team going, and I'd say him and Tuchel are probably the favorites to get fired at this point. It's not looking too good for Aston Villa, which is weird because they looked really promising at the start of the year. I think I predicted them to be top 10. But yeah, that's everybody have to talk about from Premier League Week 3. I feel like I've talked about every team at this point. I'm not positive about that, but things are looking good. And Arsenal and Man City, that's going to be a fun game to watch. Two very exciting teams. If Liverpool can finally start to get healthy again, they should be able to push for a top 4, but winning the title is going to be tough at this point. But yeah, I think we're going to have a good top 4 race, maybe a good title race between Arsenal and Man City. And no team really looks like, aside from Bournemouth, no team really looks like they're going to go down. I don't even think Bournemouth are in the relegation zone at this point. But yeah, it's going to be a fun year to talk about. Yeah, that's all I talk about right now. See you.